So today, at the moment, we're talking about the Parrot bowl from Mimbres. It's from the Classic period, about 1000 to 1130 CE. It's important because it connects the post-classic Mayan culture to the art of the Southwest. So this is a useful bowl for looking at for Southwestern art from this time period and its connections on out into other cultures. This is a bowl, often called a parrot training bowl, from the Maddox site of Mimbres, which is now held in the Zim collection at Beloit. It's from the classic phase, and this style is called black on white, even though, as you can tell, there are other colors in it. It's about 10 inches across. And here's where this is from. The Mimbres culture, as you can see, this was in the Gila in New Mexico. Chaco Canyon is up in the northwestern corner, and the Hohokam culture is over to the west. Mimbres lasted from 800 to 1250 AD. After 1250, they left and went into they dispersed into other Pueblo cultures. Here's our bowl again. So this is about 10 inches across, and as with I think all the bowls I've seen, there's a geometric design, in this case just simple lines around the edge. Most of the bowls that survive are entirely geometric, and these borders can be thin, as this one is, or fairly wide. This one's thin, and there are figures, as you see. It's made out of gray paste, which has been covered with slip and then painted with iron material, which oxidizes at some firing temperatures. That's how you get the different colors. And the inside is burnish. The outside is very, very rough, and that's almost all of the surviving bowls from Mimbres have rough exteriors, which causes us to believe that they were not used for carrying. They were not used as bowls for carrying food and whatnot, that they were meant to be bowls for the dead. The hole in the middle there, they call it a kill hole, was punched with a sharp object so that the bowl was then placed over the head of a dead person in a burial. So we're thinking that that's a way for the spirit to leave, but that's our best guess. And we have some bowls that don't have holes in them, but we think that that's what they were made. They were intended for that purpose. It's a hemispherical bowl, and meant to go over the face of a dead person. Then, the dead were buried within rooms in the dirt under the floor in rooms. And as you can see, we're getting down to what's on here. There's a male figure and a female figure, both of them interacting in some way with parrots. And there's another next to the, underneath the female figure, there's a basket with another parrot on it. That basket is a carrying basket used to transport parrots, and associated with the male figure is a bow and arrow set. The parrots, there's 3 parrots. One of them sitting on a traveling basket, one of them sitting on a stick, one of them sitting in a hoop. And the figures are also carrying, besides the parrots, they are also carrying hooked canes, which are still seen in southwestern art. They are associated in some places they're associated with war, in some places they're associated with rain. We don't actually know what they are meaning in Mimbres. And the figures are wearing bird masks. So that's what's going on. This is parrot training. There's one scholar who believes that these represent the hero twins, who are found in myths throughout the Americas, and on up into North America. The Sioux have a hero twin story, but we're associated here with Mayan mythology, and one of the Mayan stories about the hero twins concerns their having vanquished one of the wicked gods called Seven Makha. So the parrots are connected in some way. But I was still looking. Now, in Mimbres, there are 3 different parrots whose skeletons are actually found, because the Mimbres people were trading with the Mesoamerican tribes, and that's where they were getting these parrots. The parrot, it's not just the parrot imagery that's coming up from Mesoamerica, it's also the parrots. And mostly what you find is the scarlet macaw, this is what they look like. They're about 3 feet long, and as you can see, they exist in southern Mexico down through Central America and on into Brazil. They've got a wide distribution. There are a great many parrots skeletons in Chaco Canyon, and they are all scarlet macaw. At Mimbres, there's also military macaw skeletons. They are also about 3 feet long, and as you see, they've got a fragmented distribution from South America on up through Mexico. And there's a third parrot, which is found. It's the thick-billed parrot. It's actually a small macaw. They're about 15 inches long, and they are found through Mexico. They actually, until about the early 20th century, they were also in Arizona, and they are being reintroduced. So I want to go back to this map to think about this. Chaco Canyon has a great many scarlet macaw skeletons, and we now know from carbon dating the remains that the vast transportation web that Chaco Canyon was at the center of was much earlier than we had thought, because we know this because the scarlet macaw's skeleton date from like the late 800s. That's about 150 years earlier than we had thought the height of the civilization was going on. There's also their parrot remains throughout the Southwest. The earliest are in the Hohokam. They were from 200 to 900. The latest are at Paquine, which is down in Mexico, very near to, it's in the Jornada district. It's very near to the Mimbres. And it's also the biggest collection. So that's the latest. It's also the biggest collection. At Mimbres, the parrots are all buried. All the parrots are buried as the humans are inside of habitations. There's other special birds, turkeys, and whatnot that are buried outside the walls, but the parrots are buried inside. And almost without exception, all of the parrot skeletons found throughout the Southwest are young parrots. They're just past fledglings. In other words, they were old enough to have their long tails, but they're not mature enough to breed. So they're being brought up from Mexico, but they're not being bred, or if they are being bred, it's certainly not very successful. But in Mimbres, they're buried like the humans are inside the walls, most often missing their left wing. Yeah, so we're back to our bowl. At Mimbres, the parrot skeletons are found only in the Classic period. So only at the same time when the parrots are showing up on the bowls. It's also the point at which, at Mimbres, the ritual architecture changes. Before this time period, the Mimbres people used the great kivas. After this, during this period, after the transition, they used plazas. Before the transition, they had been destroying the great kivas when they were done with them. After the transition, they let them just deteriorate and, as I say, started using the plazas. So something is being imported besides the parrots. The mythology, if it looks like the hero twins, and also something to do with ritual. Now, my question for you to think about is, what is going on in this bowl with the parrots? As when I found it, it was called a parrot trading bowl. This seems to me to be errant nonsense, because as far as I can tell, the parrots are doing what parrots generally do, which is after they've bonded with humans, which is hang out on things and stare at them and maybe eat your pens and whatnot. But these aren't, you can train parrots to do things, but that's not what's going on here, it seems to me. A ritual would make sense because the humans are wearing masks, so maybe not just hanging out. But I'd like you to think about what it is you can tell from the bowl itself that helps you figure out what's happening with the parrots. And what it is that you need to know from context, either whether we know it or not. What is it that you would need to know in order to figure out what's happening with those parrots? I'll tell you also that we can say of these parrots, these are very young parrots, and they are scarlet macaws. I know they're scarlet macaws because the beak isn't black, and they've got a pointed tail, but it's short. If they had a long tail and it was pointed, they would be an adult scarlet macaw. If they had a short tail and it was rounded, they would be an adult thick-billed parrot. But or if they had a black beak, they would be a military macaw. But these are baby scarlet macaws. What's going on? Good luck.